Sorry, what now? Drop handlebars on a mountain bike? Whatever next? Yes, that's right. The steady convergence of gravel bikes and mountain bikes has seemingly taken a big leap forward in the past week, with a load of riders tackling the iconic Leadville 100-mile mountain bike race on mountain bikes with drop handlebars fitted. And yes, of course, John Tomac did this already. Way back in the 1990s, the US star put drop handlebars on a Yeti hardtail mountain bike to mimic the precision of the road bikes he was racing in Europe at the time with 711. So yes, it's not the first time it's been done before. What's old is new again, or something like that. But this year it was noticeable how many more riders put curly handlebars on their mountain bikes, including fellow YouTuber Dylan Johnson. But it begs the question of why? Are drop handlebars faster than flat handlebars? Well, thankfully, US website Velo crunched the numbers and revealed that the men's winner, Keegan Swinson, is so much faster than anyone else, it doesn't matter what shape his handlebars are. He even got a flat tyre and still won a race, and he's won a race 4 times on a trot now. So yeah, pretty damn quick indeed. The numbers do show though that the drop handlebars are faster than flat handlebars when averaged out, but by a tiniest amount. An average rate of increase of 0.73 miles per hour when switching from a flat handlebar to a drop handlebar. But the race has been getting faster over the last few years as well, regardless of handlebar and bike choice. And the Leadville 100 mountain bike race, which has been going for years and years and still on my bucket list of events to do, is probably something of an outlier. A race where you could make the case for a gravel bike perhaps, or a mountain bike as well, which is more common at this race. And it's a mix of smoother double tracks where the drop handlebars and possibly a gravel bike would be a faster setup. You've got the drop handlebars, which are narrower, more aero, smaller frontal surface area and more positions to hold on that handlebar. But then quite rough technical descent where a mountain bike with bigger tyres and more suspension travel front and rear would give you an obvious benefit compared to a gravel bike, and the wider handlebars just make controlling a bike down those sort of rough descents easier. So putting drop handlebars on a mountain bike is kind of splitting the difference between a gravel bike versus a mountain bike. I do wonder how a mountain bike with a drop handlebar will compare to one of the new breed of gravel bikes with a short travel suspension fork, like the new Giant Revolt, which has the option of a suspension fork. So that sort of comparison will be really fun to do and see which is better, and whether a gravel bike with a suspension fork is faster than a mountain bike with a drop handlebar. Something I'd love to try. Let me know if you want to see that here on Just Ride Bikes by hitting that subscribe button down below. Talking of trends, it looks like rim brakes aren't quite dead yet, because much has been said about the death of rim brakes in the face of disc brake popularity over the last few years. But Italian brand Colnago has just launched a new rim brake version of its C68 in 2024. Have they got the dates mixed up or lost their minds, or is it a smart move for the many people who clearly don't want disc brakes on their road bikes? And there are lots of people who still just want rim brakes because they know it works from their 10-20 years of riding bikes and don't see any reason to upgrade to disc brakes. It's no secret that I love disc brakes for the riding I do here in the UK, and I ride a Colnago C68 with disc brakes. And it's a fantastic bike. Lovely ride quality. I love the fact it's still made in Italy and a heritage going right back to a C40 in the 90s, and a pretty awesome bike, it has to be said. And when they announced the bike 2 or 3 years ago, they did say there would be a rim brake version. So it's taken them quite a few years, or maybe it has such demand for disc brakes that they've only got around to rim brakes now. So I love the fact they're offering choice for customers, disc brakes or rim brakes, whatever you want. And it's a real shame, it has to be said, that rim brake bikes have been disappearing from bike catalogues over the last few years. And I still ride with people on rim brakes. Just the other day, there's 6 of us on a local club ride, and I was the only person on disc brakes. Everybody else was on rim brakes. And I can see lots of people who will have a hard time buying a new bike when the only option they're faced with is disc brakes. So could we see a trend towards more bike companies offering a rim brake option in a range, or just retaining a rim brake option? Pinarello, in the launch of the new Dogma F, revealed the previous generation Dogma F will still be offered with rim brakes, a long demand is there for that frame, and a few other companies do offer rim brake options. Of course, being a Colnago, it's not cheap, is it? The frame set is over £6,000, nearly $8,000, but handmade in Italy, which is a rare thing these days. So yeah, it's pricey, but I do think a lot of traditional Colnago customers will be all over this like a rash. They have plenty of Colnago bikes in their collection already with rim brakes, and they don't want or see a need or benefit for disc brakes when they are quite happy with the rim brake bikes they already have. And I'm put off by the fact that increasingly bike brands are taking away the choice of a rim brake option. So fair play, Colnago, an expensive bike, but I see it being fairly popular for some people who want that option. And hopefully you might see a trend towards more bike brands offering or retaining a choice of a rim brake bike in their range, just for that small percentage of people who do want rim brakes and don't want disc brakes. But the real challenge with building or buying a rim brake bike in 2024, especially a high-end one like the Colnago C68, is finding a group set. That new frame is only compatible with electronic group sets, not mechanical, which limits your options straight away. And starting with SRAM, their new top-level group sets aren't rim brake at all, they're disc brake all the way. But the previous generation 12-speed force axis and red axis are still available with rim brakes, and Shimano thankfully still offer a rim brake version of their current 12-speed Ultegra and Dual Race group sets. I don't know how many they're making or how many they sell, but I have found a few retailers selling their group sets, so they are available. But if you want an Italian group set on your Italian frame like Campag, then the current top level group sets are disc brakes only, and you have to go back a generation to EPS, their wired electronic group set, for a rim brake option. And I have found a few retailers selling that as well. So yeah, slim pickings for a group set that has electronic shifting and mechanical rim brakes to fit on a frame like the C68, but you can find them out there. So my advice is to buy them while you can, because SRAM and Campag aren't making the group sets anymore, and how long Shimano keeps making a 12-speed rim brake group set is anybody's guess. Okay, some new bike news for you today. Swiss brand BMC has updated its URS, short for unrestricted. Get it? Their gravel bike, I've ridden 2 or 3 in the past and always been impressed with them. Definitely a gravel bike that strays right into the mountain bike territory in terms of geometry. Much slacker, longer than most road-focused gravel bikes like my Crux and other options in that sort of racier end. So very good bike for riding very tough, rough off-road terrain. The URS is also pretty unique in having a soft tail suspension frame arrangement and a choice of a redshift-based suspension stem or an actual suspension fork in a Cannondale headshock style. So 20mm suspension unit between the fork and the head tube. The URS does have quite a lofty head tube, quite a big head tube, to keep the front nice and high, which is great when you're riding off-road down steep tracks. So having that suspension travel in between the fork and the head tube works really well, not impacting the height of the handlebars, the stack, but getting that benefit of suspension with a lockout dial on the top as well. And I think that's a better system than the redshift stem, which does work well and cheaper and lighter and less complexity of course, but that suspension being below the frame and actually suspending the frame and not just a rider gives much more capability off-road. So key changes across the range include increased tyre clearance, so now up to 47, and bikes are spec'd with 44, which is good, but I think maybe they could have gone wider, perhaps 50 or 55. There's now down tube storage, and it's something we're seeing increasingly on gravel bikes and becoming a key ingredient of a gravel bike. The NB Morg, the Specialized Diverge, the Canyon Grail, and there are others out there which I can't remember off the top of my list. So that's a cool feature. And there's now a SRAM UDH hanger, so the latest SRAM Explore group set fits on the new URS. There are now 5 sizes as well, up from 4, with an extra small being added so more people should be able to fit the URS. And the range is priced from €3,800 with SRAM Apex Eagle group set up to a lofty €12,000 for the latest SRAM Red Explore group set. And BMC really needs a new bike to sell well in good numbers because media reports suggest the Swiss company has hit a spot of bother in recent time, where sales down, it's been laying off staff and applying for government financial support. The company also lost its World Tour presence as well, with Decathlon replacing them at AG2R. So the company is in a bit of a bad place, but hopefully the streamlining and the new models might help them out with this slump they're currently in. Now, do you remember Genesis? And I'm not talking about the English rock band, but the UK bike company that about 10 years ago was making the types of bikes that us Brits absolutely loved, and was definitely ahead of the curve with bikes like the Colnago, a genuine do anything and do everything bike from its roots as a cyclocross bike to a gravel bikepacking adventure bike with commuting, touring, and also being ridden around the world as Vincox did many years ago. But for some reason, the brand has been very quiet the last few years, and I'd almost forgotten about them, to be honest, while the likes of Mason and Fairlight had definitely filled that space, that void created by Genesis not being very proactive with their bikes and marketing. So good news, they have just announced some new models and updates across the range. So the updated Colnago gets a boost in tire clearance up to 47mm and a change in the look of the frame, apparently in an effort to make it look modern and racier. So it now has drop rear stays, which are popular on race bikes like the Tarmac, but personally I don't think they work that great on a steel bike. The frame also forgoes external cable routing like the old bike in favour of internal routing where it goes inside a down tube, which could, from the photo, present problems when trying to fit a bike packing frame pack. Not sure how that works really. I do like though the external seat clamp and mounts all over the frame and fork for increased versatility for bike packing, touring, commuting, whatever you want to do with it. And the frame is also dropper seat post compatible as well for the gnarly end of the gravel spectrum. As before, the frame is available in two steel versions, Reynolds 725 costing £900 and stainless steel 931 costing £2,500 and a titanium option costing nearly £3,000, or buy a complete bike with prices ranging from £1,200 up to £2,800. They've also updated the Vagabond, strange name that one, which is a bike that blurs the line between mountain bike and gravel bike. It was first launched way back in 2016, I think it was, so quite a long time ago. Certainly well before bigger bike companies started offering gravel bikes with clearance for mountain bike tyres and that sort of geometry approach as well. So think of it as a monster cross mountain bike with gravel features. The new bike retains that focus but has improved geometry with a longer wheelbase that should give more stability over rough ground and a slacker head angle for calmer steering at speed. Tyre clearance has also gone up as well, so you now fit a nice chunky 2.35-inch mountain bike tyre too. Another nice change is the frame is now compatible with a 40mm travel suspension fork without ruining the handling. So they've suspension corrected the geometry and the fork to fit a suspension fork or a rigid fork with no difference in the handling and the geometry. The new Vagabond is offered in just two complete builds priced at £1,800 and £2,300, and there's a frame set option as well for £900. So some nice updates to the range. They haven't really done anything radical apart from the drop rear stays on a Colnago. But yeah, I like the look of them, nice to see what they actually ride like. But sadly, there's no news of the Datum, the company's carbon all-road endurance bike, which launched back in 2018 and was definitely ahead of the curve, and a really good all-road endurance, slightly gravel bike-ish that I was super impressed with when I rode it. And I would love to see that brought back to life with some updates, especially given the new direction the likes of the Envy Fray, the Giant Defy and 51 Seeker are taking endurance bikes, the sort of road bikes that most of us regular riders should be riding instead of race bikes, with wide tyres and good geometry, nice fit and big comfort as well. Anyway, thanks for watching my irregular roundup of tech news from the cycling world. Stay tuned for much more here on Just Ride Bikes by hitting that subscribe button right there, and you'll see some other cool bike stuff, and check the video right here. But that's all today. I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.